Now talk about the access to the environment. So the access control, again, these all kind of loop into each other. So it's all right having the right sorts of passwords to access your machines, making sure it's not got unwanted software on there and stuff. But again, how do we know when even new users are starting in the environment, when they've left? Have we got stale accounts in the environment? How do we know what them users can access? So again, having these policies and procedures in place and some tool sets if you've got them to be able to help do it, but having the actual documentation that tells users how they should use it, how a line manager might request a new starter, or does that flow down from HR? How long accounts will be kept when somebody leaves? What is the process for taking their information off and handing over to somebody else? Does it get disabled first? Does it get immediately deleted? All that lot needs to be thought about, documented, and be able to be followed and presented if needed be for an audit. Comes down to that same similar conversation with the whole privilege management. Who has access to what? You should absolutely only have one account per person. Now, while there might be need for service accounts for running certain applications and stuff, that is not the same as having that shared or generic type of account where multiple people are logging into machines, which absolutely should not be used. It's about being able to present both the audit capabilities as well as having it for the right roles and the tasks that you're performing. So while one person will generally have one account, if that person, as part of their privilege management, needs to access administrative functions, so they either need to be able to log on to servers, log on as domain admin, they should not be having the usage of the same account that they use for browsing email or browsing the web, or reading email, browsing the web, with their domain admin account. That's just such a bad no-no. Making sure that they have segregated duties, segregated accounts that are only given the right amount of privileges at the right time is all important when it comes to going through the access control parts of Cyber Essentials. There is no excuse for going and dropping the users group into the domain admins group. And in the same vein, the admins need to get used to either having separate accounts for doing them administrative tasks or looking at different tool sets that will allow them to elevate when they need it for a short amount of time, but not on the same device that they're doing their daily office tasks. And this is a conversation that has gained so much traction over the last year or so that it should almost be the de facto standard now, and that's around multi-factor authentication. Now, for administrative accounts, it's a hard requirement. There should be no reason not to use it. However, with all the improvements that are in place and the options that we have around some of the Microsoft stacks and so on, applying multi-factor authentication for all of your users is almost a non-starter conversation in terms of not doing it. It's one of the best defenses out there across a range of different identity threats. And because so many people are used to it now with accessing banking details and so on, with the personal banking, accessing other services that have brought it in, it's not a complete unknown or technical only aspect. It's very easy to implement, very easy for users to understand, and very important, especially as more and more services move out onto the internet, and you get things like Office 365 and stuff where data's secured up there that's not within the boundary controls of just your internal network, protecting the users that are logging on. So absolutely, it should be a mandated thing for administrative users, and it should be very high on the list of making sure that the rest of your users are covered with it wherever possible. And that does absolutely come up in the conversations for the Cyber Essentials qualification. All of these key points do. Making sure that you have them processes of who can access what, when accounts are created, what accounts are they using for what activities, policed and documented and shown, and then the controls in place that you can start looking to bring in easier things to make life tool sets to make life easier when you're doing this stuff, and the protection controls around things like the MFA side.